some more problems and you can try. Then we move to the next step. Okay. So this is another problem. So you please note down this problem, okay, and solve the problem. So you will see. Okay. So a double pipe heat exchanger consists of a tube of 6 centimeter ID and 6.9 centimeter OD surrounded by a cell of 11.7 centimeter bore. Okay. So I request you all, please keep the calculator with you and try to solve this problem. Okay. So ethylene glycol flowing in the annulus at the rate of 2 kg per second is heated from 40 degrees centigrade to 80 degrees centigrade by hot water in counter flow in the tube, cooling from 95 degrees centigrade to 85 degrees centigrade. Rate this heat exchanger. Fluid properties are ethylene glycol at 90 degrees centigrade, water at 90 degrees centigrade is given. The properties given are specific heat capacity, kinematic viscosity, density, thermal conductivity of the fluids, ethylene glycol and water. Okay. So in one of the class we have discussed that we have two different types of problem. One is in the design problem, one is sizing problem, another one is rating problem. Okay. So sizing problem means we will know the mass flow rate of the streams, temperature conditions, inlet outlet temperatures, then we know the heat duty. Okay. So the design procedure, whatever I explained in earlier class, is for sizing problems. Okay. So for the known heat duty, mass flow rate and temperature conditions, okay, so we will select a type of heat exchanger and we will collect the property. Okay, we will collect the property, we will select the exchanger, then we will assume the heat transfer coefficient. So if they have given only process stream, we have to identify the suitable heating medium or cooling medium based on the purpose or objective. If the process fluid is to be cooled down, then we have to identify the cooling medium. If the process fluid is to be heated up, then we have to identify a heating medium. Okay. So once we identify the heating fluid and cooling medium, then we can allocate this fluid, whether cell side or tube side. Then for this combination, for this process fluid and heating or cooling medium combination, we have to know that we have to fix the trial value of overall heat transfer coefficient. From the trial value of overall heat transfer coefficient, we will calculate the area, heat transfer surface area. Once we know the surface area, we can decide the initial dimensions or initial layout of the exchanger. You can fix the D0, D1, okay, and thickness of the wall, those things. If it is double pipe simple exchanger, which means if the pipe, inner pipe doesn't have any fins, then you can proceed as it is. If it has fins, then here we are complicating the system by introducing the fins. Okay. So fins means we will provide longitudinal fin over the surface. It may be a one tube or multiple tubes surrounded by fins. So I can show I saw the latter. I saw the diagram later. Okay. So here in this case, you have to calculate the D equivalent, because once the layout is being decided, okay. So fins means you have to say the number of fins over the tube. Then fin dimensions you have to give: fin height, fin width, fin length, whether it's equal to tube length or okay. Then you have to say the pitch of the fins, which means center to center distance between the fins over the tubes. Okay, these longitudinal fins. Okay, so here the once we decided the layout, then we have to calculate the film coefficient, or we have to calculate the overall heat transfer coefficient by conducting 5 different resistance: film coefficient, then fouling resistance, then conductive resistance. Okay, then again film and fouling resistance in the other side, both the sides. Okay, so once you calculate all the resistance, conductive, convective, everything, then fouling, everything you can add up, you will get the overall heat transfer coefficient. Then compare the value, whatever you assume those things. This is the step. Okay, so that is a sizing problem. So that is thermal design. So once you satisfied with the thermal design, we can go to the hydraulic design. So we have to check the pressure drop in cell side and tube side. The pressure drops are within limit. You can go for cost estimation or cost optimization. Okay. Otherwise, rating problem. Okay. So rating problem means you know the dimensions of the exchanger. Okay. So you have to evaluate the performance of the exchanger for the given dimensions, whether it is suitable for the specified objective or not. That's the point. Okay, so in this case, this ethylene glycol, which is flowing in the annulus. So they have, if you see the problem, double pipe heat exchanger consists of a tube of 6 cm ID and 6.9 cm OD. So they have given inner pipe ID and OD. This inner pipe is surrounded by another pipe 11.7 cm bore. Bore means diameter. Okay. So they are saying ethylene glycol is flowing annulus and flow rate is given. Okay. The temperature conditions of ethylene glycol is also given. Okay. So I think this is the temperature 60 degrees centigrade. Sorry, because here if you see 40 plus 80 120, so 120 by 2 6. This is average temperature. So the properties are estimated at average average of inlet and outlet temperatures of the fluid. Okay. So now what we should do? How we can proceed this problem? First, because the flow rate of water is not known, so that is the only unknown. Okay, the properties are given. So first you have to make energy balance. Okay, first you have to make energy balance. That is Q you have to calculate. So all the data we have for ethylene glycol. Cp is known, mass flow rate is known, temperature conditions are known. So ethylene glycol Q is equal to mCp delta T. Okay. So that is 2 into 2.562 kilojoules per kg degree centigrade into delta T, that is 80 minus 40. 80 is the fluid inlet temperature, 40 is the outlet temperature. So kindly check, are you getting this value? 2 into 2.562, this is kilojoule. So this is the conversion. So this is the conversion 10 power 3 kilojoules is converted into joule. So you can calculate what is the rate of heat transfer from the ethylene glycol to water. Okay. Then we have to calculate the mass flow rate of water. That is Q is equal to Cp delta T, that is water. So the water inlet temperature is 95 degrees centigrade and outlet temperature is 85 degrees centigrade. Okay. So the specific heat of water is 4.2 into 10 power 3 kilojoules per kg degree centigrade. This is the delta T. So Q, this is the heat given by the ethylene glycol. This is the heat gained by the water. Okay. So 204960 divided by 4200 into 10. So you will get the mass flow rate of water 4.8 kg per second. So this is the first step. The second step is that we have to calculate the overall heat transfer coefficient U, because dimensions are given. So we have to start from this step, or we have to check whether this exchanger having this dimension is suitable to cool down the ethylene glycol from 80 degrees centigrade to 40 degrees centigrade. That performance we have to evaluate. Okay, so this guy here you can take this U1 instead of, you can take H1. So some books they may refer U1, some books they may refer H1. So whatever we take. So don't confuse with this U1 and U2. This is film heat transfer coefficient H1 and H2. You can take H1 and H2. Okay. So now we have to calculate the film coefficient applicable to ethylene glycol and heat transfer coefficient applicable to hot water. Okay. So problem itself, it is given ethylene glycol is flowing in the annulus. Okay. So here the mass flow rate is given, correct, 2 kgs per second. So you have to calculate the velocity. So you know m dot is equal to AV rho. So you should not confuse this area. This area is cross sectional area. So it's not heat transfer area. This is dealt with the fluid flow. Okay, so the cross sectional area. So 2 divided by A naught. So 5 by 4 you have to calculate this area, this annulus, no? So you have to calculate this area. Okay. So this area is 7 into 10 power minus 3. So you can calculate this. So this is the annular area, cross sectional area of annulus. Okay, that is pi by 4 ds square minus d1 square. So pi by 4 is equal into this is the bore diameter, that is outer pipe. This is the OD of the inner pipe. So if you substitute, you will get the A naught. Okay, so this is the A naught. Okay, so this is cross sectional area of annulus. Then density is given in the problem. The value is 1087 kg per meter cube. So kindly check the value. Please calculate, use the calculator and find out. Two divided by 1087 divided by 700 7.008 equal to into 1000. So you will get the velocity 0.2625 meters per second. Okay. So Reynolds number is dV rho by mu. So this is flowing in the annulus. So you have to calculate the equivalent diameter or hydraulic diameter. So this is heat transfer purpose, no? So you have to calculate this DMO, that is 4 times of RH. You know that RH is hydraulic radius. So you can calculate the net flow area or cross flow area divided by the vector perimeter. In this case, the flow area is pi by 4. This is the area, whatever we calculated. ds square minus d1 square divided by the vector perimeter. This heat transfer, no? So only this one. So if you take that, you can calculate this d. Okay. So here you can calculate the Reynolds number. So dV rho by mu. Here in your problem, kinematic viscosity is given. So mu by rho, this is dV by mu by rho is the Reynolds number. Okay. So velocity is 0.2625. The equivalent diameter is 4.8 into 10 power minus 2. That is being calculated. Okay. Then this kinematic viscosity is 4.747 in 10 power minus 6. So you can calculate the Reynolds number. Okay, so what is the value? 0.2625 into 4.8 into 10 power 4 divided by 4.747. Okay, it's 2654 approximately. Okay, so you kindly I request you to use the calculator, otherwise in examination you will be in trouble, or even in your calculations you will face so many problems, and you, if you don't have practice to use the calculators. Okay, I request you kindly use calculators during this tutorial classes. Okay, so then water inner tube, so flow rate is given 4 point, we have calculated 4.88 kg per second. The cross sectional area you have to calculate, that is pi by 4 d2 square, that is 2.826 in 10 power minus 3. Okay, so substitute here, then density is 967.5, so you can calculate the velocity 1.785 meters per second. So Reynolds number is dv rho by gamma, sorry, dV by gamma. This is kinematic viscosity. Substitute here, so you will get approximately 3.26 in 10 power minus 5. This is 10 power minus 4. This is, so when you solve the problem, you will understand what is the range of these values. Okay, what should be the velocity. Okay, here this is almost in the range. Sometimes if the velocity comes very low, 1.785, no, this case the water velocity is 1.785 meter per second. In general, the permissible water velocity in the tubes, inside the tube, it would be around 1 to 3 meters per second. Some books they may refer 1.5 to 3 meters per second. Okay, so if the velocity goes below this value, then what will happen? Your heat transfer rate is not effective. Okay, and also we cannot meet out the even though the friction factor is in lower side. Okay, so we will not permit the velocity through the tubes less than 1 meter per second. But this case you have. So in cell side and annular side, this is permissible. Even for this lower velocity, you can see the Reynolds number comes around 2700. Okay, but if the liquid velocity or water velocity inside the tube, it goes below 1. Okay, then you have to adjust your diameter of the tube, and you have to increase or you have to decrease the diameter to in order to increase the velocity of the fluid or water. Okay, so that is one important thing. Okay, so whenever you do the calculations by seeing the velocity, you can say whether this dimension is suitable or not. Okay, so you have to calculate the Reynolds number. Once you calculated the Reynolds number, then we have to calculate the Nusselt number. Okay, so Nusselt number is 0.023, Reynolds number power 0.8, Prandtl number power 0.4. Okay, some books this may be 1 by 3.33. Some books they take n. Okay, where n is 0.3 for cooling, 0.4 for heating. Okay, so here it is ethylene glycol is heated up, so you can take n equal to 0.4. Here we have neglected the viscosity correction factor. This is Dittus-Boelter equation. Okay, so if you have viscosity correction factor, then this equation is called Cedar-Tate equation. So this becomes 1. Okay, so here we don't have the sometimes they directly you can get the Prandtl number if you refer any tables or handbook. Okay, for a particular temperature, in addition to the properties like temperature or sea heat, density, viscosity, surface tension, thermal conductivity, then you can also get the Prandtl number, ready-made value. Okay, or you have to calculate this Prandtl number, that is Cp U by K. Okay, so in this case you know the Cp value, substitute Cp, viscosity, kinematic viscosity is given. Okay, so you have to go gamma into density. You have to tune your Prandtl number Cp gamma into density by K. Okay, So see the Reynolds number, see the value of Prandtl number, it comes around 51. Okay. Similarly, for water you have to calculate. So now if you calculate the Nusselt number, it comes around 60.81. So your U is equal to Nusselt number into thermal conductivity by DMO, that is equivalent diameter. So Nusselt number is 60.81. So just check the value, Nusselt number. Are you getting this value? So 0.023 into the Reynolds number is 2654.31 power 0.8. Then your Prandtl number is 51 power 0.4. You will get 60.8. 60.8 you are getting. Then this is the HD by K, no? Or with respect to problem, this is U. So don't confuse, both are same. Okay. So I request you use H value instead of U value. Okay. Then because for overall heat transfer coefficient, there is a general notation used to represent the overall heat transfer coefficient. So HD by K. So your Nusselt number into K by D will give the heat transfer coefficient. So 60.8 into your thermal conductivity is 0.2594. Then your equivalent diameter is 4.8 into 10 power minus 2. So 328.63 watt per meter square Kelvin. Similarly for water, you can calculate the Prandtl number. You can see the Prandtl number for water. It is around 1.98. You can see the effect of physical properties on this Nusselt number. It comes 1.98, 2, approximately 2. Here you have 51. So this value is 25 times higher than this. Okay. So you can calculate this value, and also the Reynolds number is in the range 10 power 5. So highly turbulent condition. Okay. So you can calculate the Nusselt number, that is 778. Then from 778 you can calculate the water heat transfer coefficient. Some books they may refer specific equations that are being available to calculate the heat transfer coefficient of water. Specifically you can use it for this. Because this Rittel-Bolter equation or a Stirrat equation, the deviations if you found experimentally, because this is the heat transfer coefficient value. So heat transfer coefficient value is 8752.2 watt per meter square Kelvin. So if we found the value of heat transfer coefficient experimentally, so there will be deviation plus or minus 10 to 20% deviations will be there, because this is a generalized equation, correct? It's not a specific case. Or if you conduct the experiment using water, okay, for different pipe dimensions, okay, then you can calculate the heat transfer coefficient by Wilson method. Okay, so Wilson is the method that is used to calculate the heat transfer coefficient. Okay, so you can calculate the value experimentally, or specific equations that are also available to calculate the heat transfer coefficient of water. So in the design of Selenoid heat exchanger, we will discuss different types of correlations available to calculate the heat transfer coefficient. Anyway, those equations also you can check. So we have started initially. So since double pipe heat exchanger are simple exchanges, we can start with these equations. Then we will complicate the design calculations in later stage. Okay. So the H is you can calculate. Now you have to calculate the overall heat transfer coefficient. Okay. So 1 by U is equal to 1 by H1, 1 by H2, corrected area, correction factor. Then you have conductive resistance of the wall. Okay. Because your outer diameter of the inner pipe is 6.9 centimeter. Okay. And your ID of inner pipe is 6 centimeters. So the thickness is around 0.9 centimeters, or you can say 9 mm, whatever maybe. Okay. So here this is the conductive resistance. These two are convective resistance. So here we are calculating only Euclid. Okay, so here you can calculate this. So what you will get, this 1 by H is equal to 1 by 328.63. Then this is conductive resistance. This is D1. This is 6.9 10 power minus 2 by 2 into 60. ln of 6.9 10 power minus 2 by 6 in 10 power minus 2 plus 1 by H2. This is the heat transfer coefficient that we have calculated. Okay, so normally this is on higher side because the water temperature is near to steam. Okay, 85 95 degrees centigrade. So the temperature increases, your heat transfer coefficient also increases. You can check it. Okay, so if check the heat transfer coefficient for water at 60 degrees centigrade, then this will be around 3000 or 2000 watt per meter square Kelvin. Since we are using the water at high temperature conditions, this is around 8700, very higher value when compared to this. And also you can see if you compare the heat transfer coefficient of ethylene glycol with water. Okay, so ethylene glycol you are getting at 330. Here you have 8750 divided by 330. So it's approximately 26 times higher than that, which means that this is your heat transfer coefficient. If you take 1 by H, that is 1 by 330, 1 divided by 330. So this is your resistance. The resistance for this ethylene glycol is 3.03 into 10 power minus 3 meter square Kelvin per watt. This is the resistance. So inverse of resistance, you will get heat transfer coefficient. Here it comes around 8750, no? 1 divided by 8750. The value is the resistance value is 1.14 into 10 power minus 4. So the order of magnitude you can see 10 power minus 4. This is 10 power minus 3. Okay, or 3 times of 1.14 or 3 times. Okay, 3 into 10 power. Okay, so if you see this this resistance as higher value, this is the lower resistance. Okay, so as per our discussion in principle, the overall heat transfer coefficient has to be calculated based on this. Okay, because this is lower resistance, correct? This is higher resistance. So the higher resistance will dominate the heat transfer. So this is the way to select the controlling film resistance. Here ethylene glycol heat transfer coefficient is the one which controls the heat transfer. Okay, so that we can calculate, this is based on your overall heat transfer coefficient based on ethylene glycol side heat transfer coefficient. The same thing is being carried out here. Okay, so this is area correction factor. Okay, so heat transfer surface area correction factor. So now you see the value is around 3.255. So this is the 1 by U value, overall heat transfer resistance. Here also you can see 3 into 10 power minus 3. So now if we calculate this value, conductive resistance, so what will be the value? First you have to calculate 6.9 divided by 6, that is 1.15. Take ln, so that is 0.139. This has to be multiplied into 6.9. Okay, divided by 2 divided by 60 divided by 100. So the value of this conductive resistance is around 8.036 or 03 or 04 you can say into 10 power minus 5 meter square per kilowatt meter square Kelvin per watt. So this is the conductive resistance by the tube wall. Okay, so this is in the order 10 power minus 5. So here you have calculated the heat transfer coefficient. So you can say 6.9 divided by 6 divided by 8752.2. So this is 1.313 into 10 power minus 4. So as I said, this 1 by 328.63 is 3.04. This value is 3.04 into 10 power minus 3. Now you look the 10 powers orders. 3 times of 10 power minus 3, 8 times of 10 power minus 5, 1 times of 1.3 times of 10 power minus 4. Okay, so this is the controlling resistance. Even if you see the overall heat transfer coefficient, it is 307. So if you calculate inverse, of this 307.25, inverse is 3.25. So this is 3.25 into 10 power minus 3. So this value is very close to where overall heat transfer coefficient of ethylene glycol. Because this value is very high, no? Whenever the heat transfer coefficient is high, the resistance will be in the lower side. Okay. So in this case, the overall heat transfer coefficient, clean overall heat transfer coefficient value is very close to the overall heat transfer. Ethylene glycol value is heat transfer coefficient of ethylene glycol, film coefficient of ethylene glycol is, so you can say U is equal to approximately equal to H0. Anyway, that's not the correct one. So anyway, the deviation is there, no? 328, 307, only 20. Okay, so 20 means that 20 divided by 328, approximately 6%. The deviation is only 6%. Okay, so this is the way to calculate the overall heat transfer coefficient. Here itself you can understand which one is controlling. Okay, how the overall heat transfer coefficient. If the value is 1000, 1500. Okay, so then it will reflect on here. If it is 1 by 1000 means 1 in 10 power minus 3, almost this value. Okay, so then this becomes 4, the value increase. Correct, 1 by 4 means 250, the value will come down. So next step is that you have to calculate the LMTD. So here you can check the AMTD also. The temperature is 40 to 80. So ethylene glycol 40 to 80. Your water temperature is 95 to 85. So here the value is one end, the value is 15 degrees centigrade. Another side you have 85 minus 40, that is 45 degree centigrade. So 45 divided by 15, you take terminal temperature difference. If you take this is 3, is more than 1.5. So you will get LMTD. So what would be the AMTD? 45 plus 15 is 60. So the average of this is 60 by 2, 30 degrees centigrade. So if you calculate the LMTD, see the value is 27.3. So AMTD value is 45 plus 15 by 2, that is 30 degrees centigrade. Okay, so the deviation is almost 3 degrees centigrade. Okay, so you can see. So when the delta T temperature difference between hot and cold fluid at end 1 to temperature difference between hot and cold fluid at end 2, this ratio is higher, then you have to go for LMTD. Okay, so once it is being calculated, you can calculate the required surface area and length, that is A is equal to Q by U delta T Lm. Okay, so Q is being calculated 204.96, kilowatt or 204,960 watt. This is your overall heat transfer coefficient calculated, that is watt per meter square Kelvin. So your LMDD is in Kelvin. So you will get the area in meter square. So this is the value of heat transfer coefficient, that is 24.68 meter square. So now you can calculate the length because we have two unknown. Okay. So otherwise area and L. So we need two equations. So L is equal to A by pi d. So this is being calculated based on U1. Okay. That's okay. So you can take D1. Then that is 24.68. This is the area calculated 114. So sometimes what will happen if they say the fin is 6 meter length, heat exchanger length is restricted to 6 meters or 12 meters, then what you should do, you have to convert this nearest. Okay, 114 divided by 12 will be around 9.5. So you can make it is 10 times. Okay, so 10 times means 120 meters. Okay, 120 meters. So we are providing additional length. So calculate U based on this 120, so that you have to account for fouling also. Okay, so now L you can make it as a nearest round based on the standard tube length available in the market. Okay, or you can define it as 6 meters, 10 meters, whatever may be. Okay, so 12 meters means you can take 9.5, so 10 times you can go. Okay, so 120 meter. Now if you calculate the area, what will happen? 3.14, then 6.9. You convert in terms of meter into length. You can take 120 meters. So you will get 25.99, approximately 26 meters you will get if you convert this L to length of the tube from 114 meters to 120 meters. Okay, you are providing additional area. Now you calculate the overall heat transfer coefficient. So this is the area, no, 26 meters. So 26 meters means you can calculate U, that is 204,960 divided by 26 meters square divided by the delta T LMDD 27.31. So you will get 288. Your U becomes 288 watt per meter square Kelvin. So this is the U we have calculated. So what is this? This is U dirty, you can say. So 1 by UD is 1 by UC plus R. Okay, that is the fouling resistance. So this additional length can be taken because we are providing additional heat transfer surface area to account the fouling resistance. Then you can calculate the fouling resistance also. This is another way. So what is 1 by UD? That is 288.65. Okay. Minus this value is 3.25. 10 power minus 3. So your fouling resistance will be 2.14. So R is equal to 2.14 into 10 power minus 4 meter square Kelvin per watt. So if you take X inverse, so it will be around 4,700. So if you calculate in terms, if you convert as a heat transfer coefficient value, the dirt factor value will be around 4,664 watt per meter square Kelvin. This is your fouling resistance. So this is combined for both annular fluid and tube side fluid. Okay, so this is the way. Okay, so now you have, once it is okay, Then you can go for pressure drop on water side. Then for smooth pipe, this is the equation that you can use to calculate the friction factor. Delta P by rho, or delta P is equal to 4F L by D V square. Okay, 4F L by D V square 2GC. Okay, 2G, 2GC. GC is 1 in SI units. Then it has to be multiplied by rho. Okay, to calculate the friction factor, you need this equation 0.046 Reynolds number power 0.2 minus 0.2. Okay, so this is your friction factor. Then tube side pressure drop you can calculate. So this is 4.3 in 10 power 4 Newton per meter square. Okay, so normally permissible is around 70 kilonewton per meter square. This is 10 to 12 psi. So you know 14.69 psi or 14.797 psi is equal to 1 atmosphere or 1.013 into 10 power 5 Newton per meter square. Okay, so 10 to 12 psi or 10 psi means 10 divided by 14.7 into 1.013 into 10 power 5. So 68.9 kilonewton per minute, approximately 70. So here you are getting this is 10 power 3 means it becomes 43. So 43 kilonewton per meter square. This is permissible value. Okay. So this is the way you can analyze the problem. So you can check everything. So if you have any doubts, please ask. Hello. Hello.
Sir, I don't think they have doubts.
Have you understood the concept? So how we, why we are taking overall heat transfer coefficient? What is the contribution of conductive resistance, and how to calculate this dirt factor? Okay, those things. So you can note down this problem also. Another problem. Kindly note down this problem also. So in a counter current, double pipe water in counter current flow, double pipe heat exchanger, water flows through a tube. So dimensions is again given. Otherwise, you have to assume at a flow rate of 1.5 meters per second. So you can see the water velocity. Okay, the oil flows through annulus. Okay, annular side we have oil by inner copper tube and outer cell tube. Okay, and also they have given inner one is copper tube. Okay, through copper tube water is flowing. Outer one is steel tube. Okay, they have mentioned the outer pipe dimension. Steel tube is insulated from outside, so it's insulated one. Oil enters at 0.4 kg per second and is cooled from 65 degrees centigrade to 50 degrees centigrade, which means that, what does it mean? The oil is cooled. Cooled means it is the heating medium. Okay, whereas water ends at 32 degrees centigrade. So the oil temperature is coming down. Water temperature has to be raised. Okay, so this is the statement, problem statement. Design a double pipe heat exchanger, or they will say blindly design a heat exchanger to of oil entering at 0.4 kg per second is to be cooled from 65 degrees centigrade to 50 degrees centigrade. This would be the problem statement, design problem. Okay, on single line. Okay, then what you should do? You have to identify the heating medium, then the water inlet temperature you should know, then average temperature you have to collect the properties, then for oil and water you have to assume the value U, and and also you have to assume, you have to start from double pipe exchanger. Okay, this is the way. Okay, anyway, this case the dimensions are being given, so you have to evaluate the performance of this exchanger, calculate the pressure drop in the exchanger, and check the performance of the exchanger. So the properties are given: oil and water, kinematic viscosity, thermal conductivity, specific heat, density, everything is given. Okay, so here they have given neglect the oil resistance. So you have to use only the film coefficient fouling factor water side and oil side also given 0.0005 or 5 into 10 power minus 4, 5 into 10 power 5 moles, 2000 approximately, it's 2000, correct? 5 into 10 power minus 4. Approximately 2000. This is 0.2008. This is 1250. Okay, so neglect the wall resistance. This is one problem. Another problem, you can check counterflow heat exchanger which passes 12.5 kgs of air to be cooled from 540 degrees centigrade to 140 degrees centigrade. Okay. The inlet outlet temperatures of cooling water, so cooling water is being used here to cool the air temperature or to cool the air. Assume the water side tube wall resistance are negligible. Design a suitable exchanger. Okay. The fluid properties given. Okay, density, thermal conductivity, sigma is surface tension, dynes per centimeter. Okay. Dyne is CGS units of Newton. Okay, I think you all know that. So viscosity is another kg per meter second, or you can say milli-Newton second per meter square. So 10 power minus 3 Newton second per meter square. That is another way to represent the viscosity. Okay. So I request you solve these two problems. Okay. Next class we will see in another simplest form of heat exchanger, that is tanks, stirred tanks. Okay. Or coils, or jacketed ones, or coil ones. Okay. The procedure is almost same. Okay, so only thing is that here the two different types are the proximity agitator and non-proximity, those things. Okay, because we are using different type of agitation system. Okay, so if the agitator is very close to the wall of the vessel, they are saying proximity. Okay, if the distance is not much, sometimes you have standard dimensions for an agitated vessel. Last time in particulate science and technology laboratory, we have discussed these things. Or if you refer McCabe and Smith, you know that standard dimensions for an agitated vessel is given. So first you have to calculate the diameter of the vessel, then you have to fix the height. So based on this diameter, the agitated dimensions are decided. Dia of agitator, the number of impellers, thickness of the shaft. Okay, so what should be the clearance between agitator and the bottom of the vessel? Okay, so many things are there. Okay, so we will see this thing. The procedure is almost same. That is the standard procedure. Okay. So double pipe heat exchanger also you can do the calculations for fin tuber. Only thing is that the annular side the calculation will be different, because here you are using fins, no? So your flow area, equivalent diameter, everything is different. Okay, then you can do the heat transfer coefficient calculations for the calculated value of equivalent diameter, then you can proceed. Okay, so this is the way. Okay, so at this point I stop. So next class we will see this agitated vessel, okay, design of agitated vessel for heat transfer purpose. Okay, thank you all. Thank you. If you have any doubts, please.
No, sir.
More clarifications?